Good evening everyone and welcome to round number 2 of our WCR Tier 2 F1 2019 PC Championship, and today the calendar takes us to the floodlights and extreme heat of the desert at the Bahrain International Circuit. 5.4 kilometers, 15 corners, 3 DRS zones into turns 1, 4 and 11, promising to make things exciting in the laps to come. Of course, taking a look soon at our strategies, we have 3 strategies to be enforced. Of course, everyone can go in the one stop. The other strategy to employ will be the softs to the hards. Those will be very tough to manage until the end of the race, so I'm not sure if it will be a popular one. In terms of our standings, we have Comanzo leading the championship with Ixi not too far behind, Spax Gamer in third with 15 points, followed by Rocky in fourth, Jinsen in fifth, as we have then Blackbird in 6th, with Evil Kiwi in 7th, with Jonah in 8th as the best of the reserve drivers, with Bro in 9th, and Panda Cruiser closing the top 10. After that, in terms of the constructors, we have McLaren leading the way, 5 points ahead of Renault, with the Toro Rosso boys in P3, 1 point ahead of fellow Italians Ferrari, as we have Red Bull in 5th with 12 points, Williams in 6th with 8, as they are the last of the point scorers, as Mercedes, Haas, Alfa Romeo and Racing Point haven't scored any points so far this season. So with that, we can just start settling in our lobby, just getting everything sorted out on my second monitor. I'm going to get ourselves the details. So as you can see, some of the cars that are out there, some are on the soft, some are on the hards. So let's see how that one goes. Just taking a look at someone, let me try and find out who is the guy that is leading the train of the people that are on outlaps. I would say it is Tinko, perhaps, is the one that is further out into the lap. So let's see, Blackbird is still in the second sector, Jonah is approaching turn 10, Panda Cruiser is in the first sector. Okay, this guy is at turn 4. We have Evil Kiwi, who looks like he's about to get into turn 4 as well. So yeah, let's take a look at the Alfa Romeo of Tinko. Of course, the Dutchman wasn't able to finish the first Grand Prix of the season, so he needs a good start to this race weekend. Let's see how it goes. DRS wide open at the back of his Alfa Romeo, up through the gears mode, number 4 on the ERS as well. Let's see how it goes for him as he gets hard on the brakes, about 130 meters away from the corner, gets away from corner number 1 into number 2. Of course, traction is very important, gets the DRS open for the second DRS zone of this lap. Mode number 4 once again waiting for the mode or the braking marker number 2, that yellow one at 100 meter markers board, to get through turn number 4. A little bit too wide there through number 6 on the slalom downhill into turn number 8. It's also a tricky braking zone as he showcased there, losing the rear. Big mistake there from the Dutchman. Let's see how he navigates through turns 9 and 10. Very tricky braking spot as well. We are expecting to have some chaos throughout the laps on this specific part of the circuit, especially in turn 1, with everyone trying to gain positions and being so bunched up. He's going up through the gears through the third DRS zone, and this is a tricky spot to brake at, but looks like he went very slowly. He's in modes number 0 on his ERS, so he's actually aborting his lap. In the meantime, we've had Frostil, our reserve driver, gets himself over the line with a 129.4, 2 tenths away from FSKS. His teammate Panda Cruiser splits them in P2. Then we have Spax Gamer in P4. Then we have, let me take a look, Joe is still to complete his lap. Tinko is also going quite slowly. We have Frajoku getting himself through the second sector, and he establishes a 17.4 so far. Blackbird is the new provisory pole with a 129.2, and Rowe is out of the session. Rowe just started his lap, probably lost the rear into turn number 4, and is out of the session. Very unfortunate stuff for him. He's going to basically start from the back of the pack. Let's see what the Ferrari does. Frajoku gets himself P4. The Ferrari gets himself in P4, so great lap by him. Let's take a look at the Haas of Bika. He's currently in the first sector. So let's look further back. We have Jensen, who is also on a flying lap. He's in the third sector already. So let's see what he does. The defending world champion is going to get himself through the line, and it is going to be 6th place with a 130.3. He's going to have to improve on that one if he wants to make it into the top 5. Taking a look now at the Hungarian Rwaggy of the Red Bull, is currently through the second sector, but I believe he is the closest to finishing the lap out of the guys that haven't done so yet. Let me actually confirm that, as we have Bika. Where is Bika? Bika is in the second sector through turn number 11 and 12. We also have Evil Q, who just started the lap, so I'd say it's Bika and Rwaggy who are closest to getting their laps completed. But Bika looks like he nullified his lap because he's in mode 0 of his ERS, and Rwaggy already completed his lap. Maybe he's coming back to the pits because he's in mode 0. Blackbird improves his lap to a 128.8, so the Norwegian had a great qualifying performance at Australia. Unfortunately, the start of the race wasn't so lucky for him. He had a mistake coming out of the high-speed chicane, dropped a couple places. Let's see what he does. He's currently leading on the hards especially, which is great to see. With having a little bit of a hard time getting the power down. He went on the DRS actually quite late, unless that was lag for me. Let's see how he gets through these last couple corners of the circuit. Also getting a little bit wide through turn 11 as he gets uphill through turn 12. That's how he's going to go. What time is very slow. He must have had a mistake somewhere. It's already a 116.4. Yeah, he's definitely going to abort that lap. So let's take a look at we have Specs Gamer in the pits. We have a few cars still out there, but I'm pretty sure they are going to either try to get another lap in case they got their first lap nullified, or they are going to take the car back into the pits. Let's see. Bika is one of those guys who made a mistake in the first lap, so he's going to have a go at it. Let's see what he does. He gets himself 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds faster than he was in the previous lap, so of course now he's pushing. Let's see what the Haas driver does. He did not start the Australian Grand Prix, so a good result here could be halfway into a good result by the end of this race. Let's see what he does. He's going to open the RS, he's going to cross over the line, and it's going to be pole. What a lap from Bika, getting a 128.833. Look at how close it is between the top two drivers. Great lap there by the Dutchman. And now he sets the most recent benchmark, as we have Specs Gamer on the mediums. Going to try to figure out, is still is just starting the second sector. FSKS is a little bit further into the lap. Frajoku had a mistake somewhere, can't quite tell where that is. Ooh, it was at the exit of turn 4, having a little bit of a Vettel moment there. And Frostil is about to start his new lap, so he's back on the softs. He had his first try on the soft, so he's going to have another try on them. Let's see how it goes then for the Racing Point driver. Just trying to take a look. Frajoku had a mistake earlier on, so it would be FSKS and Frostil, the guys that are closest to getting the lap done. So let's see how it goes for Frostil, the Estonian, that is getting himself the debut race. Is driving as a reserve today for the Racing Point team. The camera angle isn't really helping me. Looks like he had a little bit of counter steering there, just a slight bit coming out of turn 2. He's away cleanly though, up through the gears once again, over 315 kilometers per hour as he achieved the braking zone 100 meters away from turn 4. Gets a little bit of the curb on the exit, just trying to use the full width of the track. A little bit of a complaint from the tire there as he turns into turn 5, gets downhill into turn 8. Another complaint from that front right, and also a little bit of instability coming out of turn 8. That might cost him a few tenths. Let's see, he actually touches the curb. That's a big mistake. That is a big no-no on this track, and he's going to keep going straight on, locking up one of the tires. Hitting the curb there is not exactly ideal. That can destabilize the car quite a bit. And on this corner, you are turning, you are downshifting, you are going on the brakes. The car is already quite sensitive in terms of its balance, so going over the curb like that It's a good way to make you lose the positioning required to make the corner. Now FSKS getting himself through the gears, through the uphill turn number 12, avoids that inside curve like the plague before going down into 4th gear for turn number 13. You need a good exit because it leads into a considerably long straight. Is getting down to mode number 4, higher top speed some say it provides, nails the apex there into turn 14, getting through turn 15 officially. Those are 2 corners, gets himself opening the RS, going to cross over the line, improves to P3, but Spax Gamer gets himself pole with a 128.1. Let's see who follows, trying to find out who might be. Also on a flying lap, we have Evil Kiwi on a flying lap of his own. Rocky is still in sector 1. So let's see what the Czech driver of the Toro Rosso does. He who only finished 7th in the previous race. He had a little bit of some issues in the latter stages of the Grand Prix, especially with penalties. He lacked quite a bit of discipline, unfortunately, but nonetheless, it looks like he's going to get through this lap without any irregularities. Gets himself P5 with a 129.1. Good lap there from the Toro Rosso driver, beating in fact the current champion, right? The title champion. So that's a good start for his race weekend. Roa has actually left the session entirely. Not sure if he's going to try to rejoin to make it to the race, or if he dropped connection. Not sure what happened, but he needs to come back as quickly as possible. We still have considerable amount of time left. It's 6 minutes and a half left into the end of the session. Roe has come back into the lobby, and Rocky is actually going to abort his lap. We have Frajoko in 4th, Evil Q in 5th, FSKS in 6th. I'm not sure. Looks like he's pushing though, trying to improve, but yeah, he's going rather slowly. He's getting his car back into the pits. Spax Gamer, I would assume, is also getting the car back into the pits. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, he's definitely getting it back to the pits. So let's try to find out. We have Frostel on outlap on the softs, we have Jensen on outlap on the mediums, and we have Overspeed on outlap as well. He's about to abort it though. We have 5.5 minutes left. We have FSKS and Jensen. FSKS is further into the lap, and Blackbird, I would assume, just started. Okay, yeah, FSKS is in the pit, so Frostel is the one who's about to start his lap. He made a mistake in the previous one, in the previous attempt, so he's going to definitely try to improve this time around. But yeah, he is the driver that is closest. Then it would be Jensen, and after that it would be Blackbird. He's slowing down quite a bit. Not sure if he's just trying to ensure that he gets the best exit possible into the straight. Rather important as well, especially because it leads into a quite long straight. Gets himself mode number 5, and is now going to push. Let's see how he does finally. 100 meters away from the corner, goes hard on the brakes, down into 1st gear. Let's see how it goes on the power, coming out nice and easy on the power as well. Nice stability from the car as he gets up through the gears, through the 2nd DRS zone. 100 meters away from the corner, go hard on the brakes again. The tires complaining a little bit, but he gets through, exploring the full width of the track for maximum speed on the exit as well. Gets a little bit off the curve into turn number 6, which turns into the 7th corner and then into the hairpin of 8. He gets the curb there, tries to put the power down as early as possible, gets away cleanly. Let's see how it does now. It's going to be rather tricky to get himself, and he locks up again, gets wide. That's going to cost him time for sure. Also had to try to regain control a little bit as he put the power down a tad too early. He's weaving a little bit, not sure what he's doing there. That actually didn't get him the best of angles into turn number 11, and he's going extremely wide at this point. And yeah, his lap is completely ruined. So unfortunately for him, he's not able to hook a lap together. Let's see what Jensen does though. He gets himself to turn number 11, uphill now on the transition to turn number 12, getting himself as close to the inside curb as he could possibly there without actually touching it. Almost 8/10 is the improvement from Jensen compared to his previous lap. Let's see how it goes now up through the gears. He just has to focus on the 100-meter marker sign on the left-hand side of the track. Gets himself nailing the apex of turn number 15 and gets himself opening the DRS, going to cross over the line, and it is a 128.8. getting himself P2. Look at that, 100th of a second separating him from Bika for the second place of the table. Bika in the meantime has gone out for the for the outlap of his own. Let's see where Bika is. He's still in the first sector, of course. Evil Kiwi is in the second one. Panda Cruiser is further into the lap, so it will be Panda Cruiser. It will be okay. It will be Panda Cruiser, and then it will be Evil Kiwi, and then it is probably Bika. So yeah, that is the word I'm going to try to pay attention to. Let's see how it goes. So Ro is of course not going to be able to establish a lap because he started. He had a crash very early on, wasn't able to post a lap time, so he's going to start from last place. Overspeed is in 14th and Rwaggy in 15th, both also without getting any lap time posted whatsoever. Let's follow Panda Cruiser. There's the racing points there. That could have been a bit of issue. I believe that was FSKS coming out of the pits. Let's see what Panda Cruiser does. Talking about his result at Australia, got himself a P10 at Australia, so at least he got points, not the most exuberant of performances, but nonetheless he did the job that he could possibly do given the circumstances. Got 10th place, and hopefully he can improve on that one. He's already at least qualifying a bit higher on the grid, and he has some good prospects of improving. Let's see if Overspeed and Rwaggy opt to go out there. I don't think so. Rwaggy is out there, but I'm not sure if Overspeed is out there. Overspeed, who didn't finish the Grand Prix at Albert Park as well, so he definitely needs a good start of this race. Hopefully get some good amount of points that would get him a few places on the Drivers' Championship as well. Panda Cruiser is about to finish sector number 2. Let's see how it goes. He's improving by over 9/10, so great improvement there. He's on pace, I would say, for a 1:28.5. It would put him in P2 for the time being. Let's see how it goes then for the McLaren driver. He's going to give it pins to the last corner. He still has quite a bit of ERS left. He needs to give it all he has. Going up to the gears, ERS wide open. He's going to cross over the line, and it is a 1:28.567, getting him up to P2, demoting Jensen to the second row of the grid. After that we have Evil Kiwi, who I'm sure is about to get through. Is improving by half a second as well, getting through the last corner, opening the RS, and it is going to be P2 for Evil Kiwi to 1:28.5 as well. Look at how close everyone is. Jason has retired from the session, and Spax Gamer, sorry, not Spax Gamer, Jonah gets himself P2. What a lap from the reserve driver of the Red Bull. He's driving in the Red Bull today. He got 8th place at Albert Park, and so far so good. 2nd place. Let's see what Pika does. He's going to get himself crossing over the checkered line, and he actually does not improve, so unfortunate stuff there from Bika. Let's take a look at Blackbird, who's in the meantime also improving by 8/10, so big improvement there by the Williams driver. Let's just take a look at Frajuku. Is too far behind, so yeah, let's see what Blackbird does. Exploring quite a bit of the curb, trying to get the best angle of attack possible into the last corner. He's going to get through the line, and it is going to be pole! New provisory pole from Blackbird. What a lap! Getting the only driver so far. Frachoku gets P2 with the 1:28.0. What a lap from both these two. Blackbird gets himself under the 1:28. He's the first driver to do it. What a lap! In the meantime, we have FSKS getting himself through the last corner. Let's see what he does. He's going to get himself back on top. Let's see, P3 for FSKS, separating the Ferrari drivers there. Let's take a look at Frosty, who's on his way to complete the lap as well. Let's see, just got through the last corner. He's going to cross over the line. He's already run out of ERS, which is unfortunate. Doesn't improve his lap by very close margin. Overspeed and Rwaggy are still completing their laps as well, as they are getting, most of the drivers are getting shown their checkered flags. Rwaggy is going to cross over the line, and it is going to be P7, narrowly overtaking his teammates there in the standings, and Bika gets the fastest lap. So he still managed to come back on time to do a second flying lap. Gets himself pulled. What a lap. Look at how close that is. And Overspeed can't break into the top 10. Rather unfortunate for him. Let's try to take a look at Rainbow. Is Rainbow going out? No, he's on 0 ERS. So yeah, he's getting himself back into the pits, and that is it. He's going to stay content with P10 for the time being. So that was quite exciting qualifying session. We are soon going to have the official results once the game recognizes that the session is over. But yes, we had our informations. In terms of the strategies, we have 3 strategies that I would say will be the most popular. Looks like everyone in the top 10 is starting from the mediums, going to finish the race on the hards. If you do that, the typical lap to make the pit stop would be lap 11. And if you do the reverse, I would say you can pit at lap 18, if I'm not mistaken. I believe so. You pit at lap 18, and then you can make the remaining 12 laps on mediums. But there we have the official results. Bika, 6 thousandths of a second quicker than Blackbird. Fragioco, less than a tenth behind. And then you have FSKS, Pax Gamer, Evil Kiwi, all within less than 2 tenths. Then we have Jonah, Rocky, Tinko, over 3 tenths away, so not too much at all separating the top 9. Rainbow losing 2 tenths to the closest car ahead as he closes the top 10. Then we have Panda Cruiser, Overspeed, Jensen, Frostil, and Rowe, who of course had a crash early on the session and wasn't able to establish a lap time, so he's going to start from the back of the grid. So yeah, we are going to get ourselves waiting for the for every driver to establish their strategies with their race engineers, getting their fuel loads sort out as well. So yeah, looking back, there was one strategy I didn't mention. I don't think it will be used at all, especially because the only guy who qualified on the softs qualified outside of the top 10, so he's going to have a free choice of tires. But those who start on the softs can also go on the hards, pitting at lap 8, I believe. But towards the end of the race, you really struggle with your pace, especially if you aren't one of those drivers that has the best of tire conservation skills. Or on the other hand, you can also go for the 2-stop, going from the softs to mediums at lap 8, and then again at lap 17 for another set of mediums, take them to the end of the Grand Prix. So the session timing is out, and Overspeed took a long time to get his loading procedure done. Hopefully no one dropped out of the session. Hopefully, at least I didn't catch if anyone did. Let's get ourselves on our position changes, our details. So everyone is starting on the mediums, so not really much strategic diversity there. So looks like everyone is going to be pitting on about the same range of laps, which is going to make for a chaotic pit lane. Someone is going to gain a lot of positions, and someone is going to lose lots of positions as well, unless they are too far apart from each other, because I would say, of course, giving the order of the drivers right, they are going to get held up if they all pit in the same lap. Of course, obviously not all of them, but if 10 drivers pit in one lap and the other 10 pit in the other, it's going to be quite difficult for some of these drivers to manage the gaps, to get away from their pit stop cleanly. Rowe looks like he hasn't been able, he's having some, no, his car is on, so his car is driving, it is going on his AI, so he could still get back into it, but maybe his internet is playing up on him. He's really not able to get back to it for the time being, which is rather unfortunate to see, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, he got a 9th place at Australia. His teammate got P2. His teammate hasn't been able to attend today, so he's the only guy representing, the only driver representing the Renault at this point, so it is unfortunate. Well, let's see how that goes. He's been able to join back if he can get under control of his Renault. No, he's just left again. That is rather unfortunate to see. So yeah, well, at least it's one less driver for his competitors, right? So I'm sure they can be a little bit relieved. Fragioco is ghosted there. I'm sure it's just because he's inside of the Williams of Blackbirds, though. Let's see how it goes. Everyone is going to get sorted out on their grid slots. So we have Rowe as the last car that is going to get stationary on his grid slot. Of course, looks like the driver isn't connecting to the game, so unfortunately he's going to remain ghosted until the end of the session. He's going to try to get a better angle there. There you have it. We are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We have a good start from Renault back there. I believe it was Spax Gamer is already up to P4, but he's on the outside. It's going to be tasty there. It's going to looks like 4 wide into turn number 1. Blackbird takes the position from Bika. There's a collision between both racing points, or rather racing points, and the Toro Rosso. There's a pile-up into turn number 2. Overspeed was caught there, or rather Tinko was caught there. FSKS drops down to P12, Spax Gamer moves up to P3, Evil Kiwi moves up to P4, Beaker recovers and gets P1 back from Blackbird, as it looks like someone had a lag issue there, because one car is right on the inside of the other, which is, well, it is interesting to see, but to drive, I've actually had that happen to me. It's not fun at all to trying to spot an apex when you have a car that's not ghosted enough for you to actually look at the apex, just like Blackbird had there. But nonetheless, he managed to get himself back into the lead of the Grand Prix, just like he did at Australia, even though at Australia, coming out of the high-speed chicane, he lost the rear, put it in the wall. He was able to recover and get himself P6, but nonetheless, not the result he was expecting. He's already pulling away from Bika, got already a couple car lengths on him. Rwaggy, as you can see, has also made a good start up to P5. We're going to have some cars coming into the pits though, because we had FSKS gets contact with either Jensen or Kiwi. I'm going to say it was Jensen if I'm not mistaken. Jensen has dropped down to P11 there. FSKS also dropped down quite a bit, and we have Frostil taking advantage of Jonah, who looks like he's going to the pit, so he perhaps has front wing damage. Jonah is into the pits, Fragile is into the pits, Tinko, I would say, is into the pits as well. Yes, he is. And Row, of course, is completely desynced. He's showing up as in P2. Overspeed is also showing up as in P1, but Overspeed is completely desynced as well, which is unfortunate to see. So, of course, I can't take a look at any gaps at the moment, because the game is trolling us. Fragile retired from the session in the pits, which is rather unfortunate. I can understand the frustration, but it's rather unfortunate to see. So, we only have Spax Gamer as the only representative of the Ferrari team. Tinko is also coming out of the pits on the hards. Jonah right in front of him. In the meantime, we have Rocky and Rainbow, Kiwi and Rainbow coming to blows there. And Overspeed might take advantage of that one. Let's see how it goes. Is going to take anything? Of course, DRS not available at this point. But he did get close enough for Rainbow that if he can, he'll certainly try to have a go at him. So let's keep tabs on those two. For the opening of next lap. Bika is losing time definitely to Blackbird. He isn't really able to keep up with him. I would say he's already lost out on the right to DRS. So it's going to be Spax Gamer trying to chase down Bika. He's also losing a couple car lengths to the Haas in front, as Blackbird gets the fastest lap of the race. As we are about to start lap number 3. In the meantime, we have Frost still dropped down to P11. Not sure what happened there, but Frost will drop down to P11. FSKS is up to P10. And we have Overspeed still having a good view of the battle between Rainbow and Evil Kui. A big amount of pressure is the Lithuanian putting on the Czech driver of the Toro Rosso. So let's see how that one develops as well. In the meantime, we've had Jonah and Tinko also scrambling for positions as they are battling out for P13. And let's take a look, and yeah, Bika is already over a second behind, and of course as soon as I say that, it drops down to 0.9 seconds the gap. But yeah, he's lost. Yes, oh, a big mistake there from Kiwi. Rainbow is going to say thank you very much. There was also a mistake from Rocky, so both drivers going wide. Rainbow takes advantage of that, gets promoted to P5. And Rocky was too far away from anyone to capitalize from his mistake. Nonetheless, he's going to struggle a little bit to get back into the fight of the top 3, because he's already run out of, not DRS, but he's out of DRS range. So it's going to definitely be harder for him to get anything done in this lap. In the meantime, Bika has been able to close in a little bit on Blackbird. I would say he's still too far away for him to have a go at him, but nonetheless, let's go on board with him. Let's try to figure out if he's closing in. He just posted the fastest lap of the race, but he's too far away. Evil Kiwi even, that's half a second behind the car in front is also too far behind. We have Jensen, who has Panda Cruiser on his side. Panda Cruiser does not have DRS, he's too far behind over speed. Panda Cruiser, who's currently at his best finishing position. If the race finished right now, it would be his best finishing position. I'm pretty sure he's happy with that one. But Jensen, still with DRS, not really able to pull the trigger and try to get himself up into P8. Bika has closed in on Blackbird with the help of DRS, I would say. Spax Gamer isn't too far behind as well. So it might kick off a little bit of a fight between Bika and Spax Gamer. The Dutch and oh, Rwaggy goes very wide this time around. And Rainbow, oh boy, that's actually very close as the Red Bull is trying to rejoin the track. Rainbow, I don't think he actually knew where he was, so I would say he got actually surprised there. But Rainbow gets himself up to P4. Rwaggy having a big off there coming out of turn number 10. It is always a very tough spot to get right, but Rainbow capitalizing on the mistakes of both Rwaggy and Kiwi to get himself up to P4. Rwaggy is going to start pressurizing him though. Of course, Rainbow is too far to get DRS. I would say Spax Gamer won't be able to overtake Bika, especially as the As driver has DRS of his own. But let's take a look at the difference. Mode number 4 on the ERS as well. Let's see, will Rwaggy get past Rainbow? Is closing in, but it is not enough for the time being. Actually takes a little bit of a tighter approach there. Not sure if he's trying to defend from Evil Kiwi behind. Nonetheless, let's jump back for the battle into the top 3. And yes, Spax Gamer is definitely too far away. Even Bika is too far away to take advantage. Rwaggy is very close to Rainbow, but still, maybe in the next lap he's going to try something. But on this lap, he's going to have to stay content with P5 for the time being. Jensen is also very close to the McLaren in front of him, but still hasn't been able to pull the trigger. Then we have both Racing Points chasing closely to each other, but also not able to see any position changes between FSKS and Frostillas. There's a little bit of an outbreaking there from Jensen, or maybe Panda Cruiser went on the brakes too early. There was contact though, no carbon fiber flying, so I assume there was no damage on the front wing of the reigning world champion. In the meantime, getting back to Rwaggy is quite close to Rainbow, is as close to Rainbow as Evil Kiwi is to him. So of course he needs to try and close in on the Mercedes, but he also needs to start looking at his rear view mirrors, because Evil Kiwi is no slouch, and I'm pretty sure he is trying to show it. Of course, he didn't have the most disciplined of races at Albert Park, but I'm pretty sure he wants to get on a good result. He still finished 7th, but his penalties really set him back, so he's going to try and make something work today. Let's see, Rwaggy has an ambitious lunge on the inside of Rainbow. He actually gets the maneuver done, but it is Evil Kiwi getting a better exit. It might be 3 wide. Of course, both Toro Rosso and Red Bull are going to have DRS. The Mercedes does not, so he loses out on that one. Let's see how it goes. Now on the exit, Rainbow is trying to go for the switchback on all of them. Evil Kiwi forced to drop back behind Rainbow and is going to stay put in P6. Is he though? Ooh, Rainbow! There was almost a collision there. Evil Kiwi is going for the switchback. He's going to be able to put the throttle down a little bit sooner. Rainbow, a little bit of waviness there. Not sure if he had to correct the car or if he was just trying to block quite aggressively. Let's see how it goes. With all that weaving, Rwaggy has pulled away. The gap is over a second already between the Lithuanian and the Hungarian driver. Oh, there's a mistake from Rainbow. He locks up the front right, I believe that was. And just in the same way, he got himself up to P4, taking advantage of mistakes. Now it is Evil Kiwi taking advantage of the mistake from the Mercedes driver. Overspeed is trying to pick up any pieces that might come his way. He's very, very close to the rear diffuser of that Mercedes. Look at that, less than 3/10 separating both of them. Let's see now, of course, DRS is going to be available to both cars. I'm guessing Evil Kiwi won't have DRS at his disposal. I'm going to go on board with Rainbow. Yes, looks like the flap on the back of the Toro Rosso is not open at this point. Let's see, will Overspeed be able to overtake? A little bit of an aggressive maneuver there, but understandable. He wants to cover the inside. Let's see who now gets the best traction coming out of turn number 2 and turn number 3. Both of them look like similar exits. The Rainbow is going to cover the inside once again, going to squeeze Overspeed onto the outside. Let's see how it goes. He can't quite get the long sides to warrant himself some space, and he's going to have to stay put in P10 for the time being. In the meantime, Jensen has also not been able to pull the trigger on Panda Cruiser, especially now that Panda Cruiser has been able to catch up with Overspeed and Rainbow because of their battle. Overspeed is not giving up though. Let's see how it goes. You also have Jensen maybe trying for a maneuver. No, he did have a look down the inside, but backed out from that one. So Overspeed is going to still chase down Rainbow, who at this point does not have the RS on Evil Kiwi. So this is important for the Hungarian driver of the Alfa Romeo. Let's see how that one develops. I'm pretty sure there might be an overtake not only from Overspeed but also from Rainbow's. Wow, Overspeed, look at the speed difference there through the corner, and Rainbow, ooh, there was contact there. To say the truth, Overspeed, in my opinion, actually he had to come back into the track, right? And Rainbow did give him space, not space enough. So the contact was always going to happen. Let's see who gets a better exit. Rainbow gets himself wide. Maybe Rainbow got damage from that contact between him and Overspeed. He's going to get the RS on Overspeed, but did not get a good exit. Panda Cruiser is going on a drag race with him. Jensen is going to try to have a go, pick up any pieces, going to take the switchback. Ooh, that might have given him damage there. Panda Cruiser covering the inside there, was trying to go for the switchback. Jensen was trying to do the same, but he wasn't expecting Panda Cruiser to park that quickly on the inside. There might have been damage. I'm going to try to take a look. No, doesn't look like there's damage in the left side of the front wing of Jensen, but nonetheless he has a tasty view of the battle for 6th place. If anyone of the 3 cars ahead of him makes a mistake, he's for sure going to be able to capitalize on that. In the meantime, FSKS has been able to pull away from Frosty, and FSKS has gotten, or is flirting there with the 1 second barrier to the cars ahead. So FSKS might as well start to join the party. Let's take a look at the onboard from the Racing Points driver. As you can see, he's not too far away at all, so he's getting himself back on contention for a couple places higher than P10. Let's see how it goes. Overspeed has pulled away from Rainbow. The gap is still over a second. Goes wide at the exit of turn 13. Once again, couple mistakes there from Rainbow in a row in the past few laps, especially in the third sector. Panda Cruiser closes in quite a bit. I thought he was going to miss the braking zone entirely there for a second. Let's see how Jensen does. He's going to get the RS. Panda Cruiser is much closer to Rainbow, so the slipstream is going to be much more effective on the McLaren. Rainbow gets out of the way, trying to cover the inside, but Panda Cruiser gets himself past even before the braking zone, so he's going to get himself cleanly P7. It's not all over yet though, because it's now going to be Rainbow's turn to have the RS on the McLaren. Let's see, he's going to try to have a go inside. Panda is on the middle of the track. Rainbow opts for the outside. He's going to try to switch back onto turn number 4. Panda Cruiser gets slightly wide coming on the exit of turn 4, but enough to cover Rainbow and not give him a chance to take P7 away from the German. Now it's Jensen going to have a look down the inside of turn number 8. Let's see how it goes. He does have the space, but he had a little bit of contact with the side pod of the Mercedes, so that really allowed FSKS to close in. Look at that, look at how close he is at this point, and everyone is so bunched up together. Overspeed has been the major benefactor from all this, I would say, as he's been able to pull away from the cars ahead, behind him rather. There's now almost 2 second gap between Overspeed and Panda Cruiser. Overspeed is also 2 seconds behind Evil Kiwi, so he just needs to focus himself on getting good laps. Overspeed is a good driver. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish the Grand Prix at Australia. His teammate also didn't finish, so now he's down in 14th place with a broken front wing. Already had to fix that one, so unfortunately for him, that's not a great start of the season for Tinko. As we have, is that Panda Cruiser? No, that is Rainbow. Yeah, Rainbow getting challenged there from Jensen this time around, and FSKS is going to try to pick up any pieces that might come his way. Let's see how it goes. Let's see who gets the best traction coming out of turn number 2. FSKS dropping a little bit of some car length on the 2 cars ahead, as Panda Cruiser is trying to capitalize on that battle to pull away. Jensen was able to keep himself ahead of Rainbow. So Rainbow at one point was in P4, and due to his mistakes and all the battles, he's down to P9. So not really a fortunate start of the Grand Prix for him. There was almost contact there between FSKS and Rainbow. A little bit of a tank slapper then from Rainbow. Not actually sure if FSKS was the cause of that tank slapper. Nonetheless, we have Jensen closing in on Panda Cruiser. Let's see how that goes. Looks like he's too far away. Is FSKS going to get a much better exit? No, it does not. Rainbow exploring there the curb to get a better angle of approach onto turn number 11. You can see the amount of car lengths. He's already gained a couple car lengths on FSKS just through that section alone. So FSKS needs, because FSKS isn't even exploring the full width of the track coming out of turn 11. He's making it too tight, which is also going to degrade his tires rather quickly. Let's jump again to Bika, who is closing in on a Blackbird, and Evil Kiwi finally gets into the pits at the end of lap 11. I would say this is the typical lap to pits. Rainbow also comes into the pits. He wants to avoid the battles, just get clean air and try to get on with it. Bika wasn't able to overtake Blackbird this time around. Specs Gamer is just trying to conserve his best, trying to keep himself loaded up. Actually, Bika is the one that has managed to conserve most DRS. I would say Specs Gamer would be able to make the same, but maybe he's just not on par in terms of pace with the top two, so he has to use a little bit more to catch up. That is interesting to see. Rocky is 4 seconds behind the trio we have on the screen, because we have overspeed in P5. Let's see, is Bika going to get a much better exit that allows him to get past the Williams? Doesn't look like so. In the meantime, if you see the table, if you take a look at the table, Evil Kiwi has been able to come ahead of Jonah, and Rainbow is not. Rainbow is actually 6 seconds behind Jonah. So it's going to be rather interesting to see how quickly can Rainbow dispose of the Red Bull driver, so that he can keep on a good chance of fighting for the top 5, or at least higher places than what he was when he entered the pits. Bika is once again very close to Blackbird. Is he going to the pits? Yes, he's going to the pits. So Bika, Blackbird are going to the pits. Specs Gamer is not, so he's going to inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Of course, they are awfully close, awfully close. Let's see who gets the best pit crew effectiveness, and it gets sorted out on a set of hards. Let's see, Blackbird maintains himself ahead. We also have Overspeed coming to the pits, going to replace his worn out mediums to a set of white marked hards. We have the same from Jensen, who's also on hards, gets himself behind Overspeed. FSKS is going to get held up, unless that was lag. Maybe he had a penalty of some sort to get himself through, and is going to rejoin the track, possibly behind Rainbow. He was behind Rainbow when he pitted, so yeah, Rainbow is approaching rather quickly, and he gets himself the position. Up to P12 is Rainbow, but FSKS he has cold tires, but he's not too far away, and that lap difference of tire wear can make the difference towards the closing stages of this Grand Prix. So leading the pack out of those that have pitted is Blackbird, with Bika not too far behind. Of course, the gap has already increased over a second, so Bika has a little bit of work to do if he wants to get back at them. Blackbird is getting closer to Frostel, who hasn't pitted yet, so maybe Blackbird could perhaps get DRS and extend his lead over Bika, making the Dutch's job much harder. Let's see if he's actually going to get DRS from Frostel. In the meantime, Specs Gamer has gotten himself on the pits. So, yeah, I would say Frostel is close enough for Blackbird to get DRS. Let's find out. Frostel gets very wide there. He's just trying to get the hell out of dodge. Oh, he actually has a puncture! There's a puncture there from Frostel. That's why he missed the corner there. And, whew, that was rather unfortunate. But he did manage to save the car. And yeah, he's getting himself into the pits for a replacement. Specs Gamer in the meantime comes out of the pits. He loses the rear though. He's going to give a run to Bika, I believe. Let's see how it goes. Let's see who gets DRS. Of course, Bika and Specs Gamer are both going to get DRS, but Bika, despite the tank slapper there from Specs Gamer, wasn't able to get himself a run and claim back P2 for his name. Now Bika has shown to be quicker than Specs Gamer on the first stint. He's been showing that he's the only one capable of battling Blackbird. So Let's see, will Spax Gamer be more comfortable on this set of hards? It was the last one of them to pit, so that little difference in tire wear might dictate quite a bit. Ro hasn't pitted yet, his coast is not really counting at the moment. But yeah, let's see, will Spax Gamer start challenging Blackbird? He's too far away, Bika is closer. Is closer to Spax than Spax is to Blackbird, but unfortunately not close enough to make anything work. In the meantime, we have Overspeed, also very close to Ro, but of course he's a ghost, he's going to get overtaken rather soon. So Overspeed has a 1.5 second gap to Panda Cruiser, who has Jensen right behind him. Then it's Jonah in P10. Of course Jonah has to pit in the next 5 laps, I would say. And then we have Rainbow outside of the top 10 with FSKS not too far behind. Let's jump back to the front of the pack, because of course Spax Gamer is going to start closing in on Blackbird. Let's take a look in terms of ERS. Spax Gamer, out of the trio, Spax Gamer is the one that used the most out of his battery. I assume Spax Gamer, understanding that he was going for the overcut, he just tried to take advantage of the fact he was going to get the DRS at the beginning of that lap, and that he was going to be able to get himself clean air. He just pushed, used a lot of his DRS, and now he's struggling a little bit to get back to it. In the meantime, Panda Cruiser has had a battle with Jensen, which he lost. FSKS is battling it out with Rainbow on the approach to turn number 4, rather on the exit of turn number 4, and FSKS comes back into the top 10 positions. Rainbow is dropped down to a P11. Let's take a look once again at the gaps. Panda Cruiser is awfully close to the car ahead of him. Who is that? Jonah. That is Jonah, yeah. Jonah is also not too far behind. And then Overspeed has also lost time to Jensen. So Jensen has an opportunity to get himself into P6. Jonah, of course, has much older tires, but let's see how that one develops. Spax Gamer is on the verge of losing DRS to a Blackbird, so then it's going to be easy pickings for the Dutch driver of the Haas, as Blackbird gets himself a 1:31.5 as the fastest lap of the race established by the Norwegian. Let's see how it goes. We have Jensen closing in on Overspeed. Let's see, will Panda Cruiser also be able to capitalize on that one? Let's see how it goes. Heavy on the brakes. Excuse me. But yeah, it's going heavy on the brakes into turn 1. Not quite able to overtake Jonah. He is having a go though. He lost out on the traction because of his tires being much older. He's still going to get the DRS though, but none is not enough to overtake. Let's see how it goes. Jensen still had to defend from Overspeed then into turn number 4, but he managed to keep P6. Rainbow also overtook FSKS, and it looks like FSKS, maybe there was contact, maybe he lost the rear coming out of turn 2, because he's already lost a big amount of time to the Mercedes, which is quite unfortunate to see. But yeah, it is what it is. Now Rainbow has finally an opportunity to bridge the gap without getting too much bothered by the racing point. So it's going to be an opportunity for Rainbow to bridge the gap to the cars ahead. Of course, Jonah is going to be easy to catch. Of course, Jonah is going to pit soon, as Bika, he knows it's all or nothing. He needs to make quick work of the Ferrari. Gets on the inside of turn number 14 and gets the job done. He's going to get the RS. No, he's actually not going to get the RS. So it's going to be interesting to see, will Spax Gamer get back at Bika or not? Let's find out. As they're going hard on the brakes, Rwaggy gets the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so he's actually having very competent pace as well, the Hungarian. Let's see how it goes. Up through the gears, DRS wide open on the back of the Ferrari, but he's actually losing out on speed down that straight. I'm not sure if that is a setup thing, but yeah, he definitely has lost time there, despite having DRS. Maybe just wasn't able to put the power down as quickly as Bika coming out of set of the turn number 2. And now Bika, he needs to hurry himself up because he needs to get back on the DRS from a Blackbird. He needs to be able to pressurize the Norwegian to not let him breathe too easy. In terms of the ERS, Blackbird has a little bit more on his battery than the Dutch driver, so it's going to be also a battle in terms of that the management of that resource. It's going to be definitely interesting to follow for the laps to come. Bika looks like he finally got within a second, so good job from the Dutchman. Now he's going to get DRS and he has a chance to start reestablishing his battery as he keeps taking the slipstream, and therefore he can run a little bit less of mode on the ERS as he tries to recharge his battery using the slipstream and DRS to not lose time to Blackbird. So it's definitely going to be interesting. As you can see, he's already in mode number 0 and is already under half a second from the Williams driver. So yeah, it's definitely going to start piling up the pressure on the Williams driver. Let's see how that one develops. In the meantime, Overspeed has been overtaken by Jensen. He's still within a second of Jensen, but it is too far away from him to try anything. Panda Cruiser is also a bit too far behind. Jonah has gone into the pits. He's already dropped down of the top 10. Unfortunately, it was always going to happen, especially given how compromised this race got with that collision between Tinko, a Racing Point, and Jonah, and also one of the Toro Rossos early on. So it was rather unfortunate stuff from Tinko, because Tinko had, I believe it was Tinko, no, it was a Racing Point. So one of the Racing Points had contact with one of the Toro Rossos and then lost the rear. And by losing the rear, everybody else that was trying to get on with it actually pushed him and didn't allow him to keep control of his car. So some end plates were victims of that incident. Some of the drivers went into the pits. Fragioku actually retired upon entering the pits. But still, we still have... everything can happen, right? We can still have a safety car. I don't know. Lots of things can happen. Panda Cruiser having a mistake somewhere along the way, as he is now out of the DRS range. FSKS is inside of the DRS range of Rainbow, who has lost out to Panda Cruiser. In the meantime, the gap has extended to 8 seconds, so it is a sign of either a mistake from Rainbow or the trio that we have on the screen being actually very good. Let's see, Overspeed is having a go around the outside of Jensen into turn number 1. It's going to turn into the inside of turn number 2. Let's see who gets the best traction coming out. It's going to be now a drag race. Looks like Overspeed actually got a better exit, but Jensen does have DRS. He's going to come back at him. He's going to have a wider approach, coming into a tighter exit. Gets the power down earlier, but Overspeed managing to react and get himself into P6 and managing to conserve it. But there's a lunge there from Jensen as he gets himself on the inside of Overspeed. I'm not sure if Overspeed was expecting that one. Nonetheless, he gets himself back onto P6. Great maneuver there from Jensen. No contact as well, so that was very clean maneuver. Very well done. In the meantime, FSKS had some sort of mistake. Tinko has been able to climb into P11. Frost still is in P10, even though Tinko is going to pit again, so that unfortunately for him is not going to last very long. In the meantime, Specs Gamer is also not getting the best of paces. He has dropped quite a big amount of time to Bika, who looks like he's actually going to challenge for P1. Let's see who's the most daring on the brakes. Blackbird goes down the inside. Let's see how it goes. Actually compromised a little bit of the exit from the Dutchman. Let's see, is he going to be able to come back at Blackbird? He's actually not getting the DRS. It is the Norwegian that gets the DRS. So yeah, no chance for the Haas driver to get it that time around. Now, looking back at Overspeed, Overspeed wasn't really able to overtake Jensen. Let's see how it goes now. He's closing in at quite a rapid pace as Jonah gets the fastest lap of the race, and he's going around the outside of turn number 4. Jensen does get inside, manages to conserve his P6. Panda Cruiser, in the meantime, has been able to close right up after having a mistake that cost him about a second, so is rather close to the duo that is in front of him once again. Let's see how that one develops, though. Of course, Panda Cruiser looks like he's a little bit slower on pace, just a slight bit slower on pace compared to the two cars ahead in terms of pure pace. Looks like Overspeed and Jensen are a little bit quicker, so Panda Cruiser needs to deploy a little bit more ERS, needs to push a little bit harder, and that might as well be the thing that cost him a second a while ago due to a mistake. Bika, with that collision, I'm pretty sure there wasn't damage there. If there was, at least I didn't see any debris flying out of the front wing of the Haas, but Bika has lost time. Looks like he just gained it right up, as he's 6 tenths away from Blackbird. He was 8 or 9 tenths away a while ago. Let's now take a look as Overspeed is going to have another go at Jensen. Let's see how it goes into the brakes. Jensen is going to try to hold it on the inside. There's no contact. Great clean racing from the two. Jensen does get a better exit. Overspeed is going to struggle, especially Jensen not only got a better exit, but he's also going to get the RS. Let's see as we approach the braking zone. Overspeed is going to try to maintain the inside line. Let's see who gets the best traction. There is contact between Jensen and Overspeed, and Jensen gets back into P6. Brilliant defensive maneuver there from Jensen. Brilliant racing between these two. Very aggressive, but also very clean. Jensen managing to get a wheel on the inside of Overspeed into turn 1, forced Overspeed to get a little bit wider and forced him to have a suboptimal exit onto turns 2 and 3, which gave Jensen a chance to fight back. So very clever racing as well from those drivers. Overspeed wasn't quite on the same pace as Jensen. Overspeed wasn't on the same pace as Jensen on the previous season, but looks like in this game Overspeed has improved quite a bit. He's able to keep up with the reigning world champion, and definitely things are going to be tasty throughout the season between these two. That's now, of course, even with the battle, Panda Cruiser isn't able to get too much closer, as we have a battle between Blackbird and Bika. Let's see how it goes. Will Bika be able to overtake Blackbird? No, looks like the Norwegian got a much better exit and is going to be able to defend that one. In the meantime, Overspeed is going to have a go down the inside. He tried to simulate a lunge down the inside, goes around the outside, gets now a little bit of a switchback, but it's not enough. He didn't really compromise the line of Jensen in any way, so he's not going to be able to contest for that 6th place on this lap. Now, looking further down the order, Frostel just got overtaken by Jonah. Well, he's not trying to give it up without a fight though. Let's see, will the Racing Points come back at him? He does have the RS. And let's see, he's going to have a go down the inside, I am sure of that. Jonah does have better confidence on those tires. Those are brand new tires. Tinko has gone 19 laps on the set of hards. He's going for softs until the end of the race. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. I'm not sure if he's just trying to drive on those until they explode, but nonetheless, 19 laps on the set of hards, that is quite tough to pull off, but he's been able to. Of course, unfortunately, hasn't been able to give him a chance on the top 10, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Jonah is closing in awfully quick to Tinko. Look at that. And of course, not only has fresher tires, also softer tires, and the game, of course, does limit your top speed. If you have higher tire wear, the game does limit your top end speed, regardless of your setup. It's going to limit your top end speed. Jonah was only able, in normal circumstances, cars in about the same strategy, they would never be able. Oh, Specs Gamer loses out to Rocky. There must have been a big mistake there from the German driver. Already drops out of the podium paint positions. It is now the Hungarian getting up to a P3, and Overspeed has another round of the battle with Jensen. Let's see how it goes. He gets the outside of turn 4 and is going to get himself holding on to P6. But yeah, as I was saying, Jonah was only able to overtake in such a short straight because the game outright not only limits of traction, of course, because you are in the case of Tinko is on older tires, but it is also because the game limits the speed on the hards compared to the speed of a car that is on the mediums. So yeah, the added top speed on that Red Bull was just too much from Tinko to resist, so he's going to drop down to P14 after pitting, as he's going to take softs until the end of the Grand Prix. Bika hasn't been able to get himself back within half a second rather, of Blackbird in the past 3 laps, I would say. So let's see how that one goes. And of course, as soon as I say that, is 5/10 away. But yeah, let's see how that one develops. As you can see, the gap increased to 6, now back down to 5. He hasn't been able to get down to 4. And of course, as soon as I say that, it happens again. So yeah, let's see. Jensen is going to have a go at overspeed. Don't think he really compromised his exit though. Just enough perhaps. Yeah, overspeed had to correct the car there. Overspeed having a little bit of a tank slapper. It was a minor one, but just enough to give enough daylight for Jensen to stick it around the outside. Overspeed got a much cleaner line there, but Jensen just having better traction, being able to get the power down sooner and gets himself back to P6. Panda Cruiser is just trying to keep up with these two. Fortunately, they are battling, which is giving the German driver of the McLaren a chance to keep up with these guys. But unfortunately, it's just not quite quick enough that would allow him. You can see the lack of confidence as they go on the brakes. Panda Cruiser braking much earlier into turns 9 and 10 than overspeed. He might as well also be cautious, but nonetheless, he's braking even earlier than overspeed, who already has to take into account the fact that Jensen is ahead of him, right? So overspeed must be cautious, and Panda Cruiser is braking even before that. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit of a lack of confidence on the brakes and into the car overall. That's costing those slight dents. You can see on the exit as well, Panda Cruiser not getting the traction down as early as he wanted, so he's lost a couple car lengths there. Let's see how it goes. Overspeed misses the apex there. So let's see how that one develops. We're going to have Overspeed getting on the chase on Jensen. Let's see if he's going to close in quickly enough. He's certainly closing in on the Toro Rosso driver. He's going around the outside of turn number 1. He has enough speed to be able to make that one. Jensen is once again going to take a wider approach into turn 2. Does a little switchback and just gets a better exit. And we know Overspeed was smarter that time. He actually lifted off a little bit, not allowing Evil Kiwi to get a run on him, or Jensen rather. And that gave some light to Panda Cruiser to stuck it around the outside. Let's see who gets the better traction. Of course, Panda hasn't been battling with Jensen and with Overspeed as the other two have been battling all these laps. So Jensen might have had a little bit of traction issues there, but nonetheless is going to maintain P7. That did give a little bit of breathing room to Overspeed. So Overspeed was quite clever there to not exactly give it full beans coming out of turn 2, just to not exactly delay, not exactly block, but just be a nuisance to Jensen so he couldn't get back down on the power as soon as he wanted as well. That compromised his run through the entire DRS zone, and that allowed Panda Cruiser to get involved there and also be annoying to the Toro Rosso driver. Sorry about that. In the meantime, we've had Jonah having a go around the outside of FSKS into turn 11, but the traction is so much better that he manages to pull it off with ease. So he's up to P10, just trying to nullify a little bit of straight lines of DRS there, as well as you have yellow flags. Who is the victim of yellow flags? I don't see anyone dropping any places. I have no idea what's going on. We did have yellow flags though, and Bika has dropped out from a second away from Blackbird. He has finally broken down his resiliency. He has been able to chase down Blackbird for so many laps now, but Blackbird has just a little bit extra of ERS, and he has been able to put it to good use. Maybe a mistake from Bika involving that circumstance as well. I think who gets the fastest lap of the race, of course, is out of the top 10, so if the race ends like this without anyone else getting the fastest lap, I believe there won't be anyone getting awarded the extra point for the fastest lap of the race. But yeah, Blackbird has been able to pull away on pace by over a second, and now he just needs to focus on getting his curbs right, getting his apexes, getting his braking zones, and just need to conserve his tires and DRS the best he can so that he can pull away from Bika and go for a win. Looking back at the battle between Jensen and Overspeed, Panda Cruiser has already dropped a second behind because Jensen and Overspeed got that cushion. Of course, both of them are able to stretch their legs. Panda Cruiser unfortunately isn't just able to keep up with them in outright pace. Jensen is going to have DRS this time around though, so let's try to get on board. He's definitely going to close in. The gap is about half a second now with all that, even into the braking zone. You can see Jensen did get a much tighter exit out of turn 1. Overspeed went a bit wider. That might have compromised his angle into turn 2 as well. So Jensen is going to take advantage of that, and is going to lunge it around the outside. That's not going to work. Yeah, he didn't quite get alongside to guarantee himself some space, but he did catch up to Overspeed, and if they keep on battling again, Panda Cruiser is going to be able to catch up. As you can see, there's not much separating these two and Panda Cruiser, and yeah, if they keep on battling, it's going to be rather easy for the German driver of the McLaren to get back at the cars ahead. Tinko gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Unfortunately, wow, such a better exit there from Jensen as he gets himself on the rundown onto turn number 11 on the inside and actually overtakes the Alfa Romeo. Not sure what happened there with the Hungarian driver, but yeah, he managed to lose the position there. I wouldn't say Jensen would be able, especially as they have the same amount of laps on those tires, I wouldn't say Overspeed would have such big difficulties putting the power down. Maybe it was just a driving mistake there, or maybe Overspeed was just letting Jensen back. Wow, a little bit of the tank slapper there. But yeah, maybe Overspeed is just trying to let Jensen pass so that he could try to overtake, so that Jensen overtakes him in lap 28, and then Overspeed can overtake him at the beginning of lap 29. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if that's actually what he's going to try to pull off. Panda Cruiser has a prime seat in the house once again for this battle. Jensen is going to have a wider approach to turn 2 once again. He's going to get the RS. Things might get tasty. Panda Cruiser is going to try to have a go as well. Let's see if he has something to say in this. He's going to get squeezed onto the outside. He's going to have to back out. Jensen also quite can't put the power down as early as he wanted. The car complained a little bit from the rear end, and that means he has to conserve P7. He also had a go as well there on the outside of Overspeed. Let's see, is he going to have a lunge into turn 10? No, he does not. He backs out. Sensible driving there from Jensen as well. A little bit of a touch there from Panda Cruiser on Jensen, but no harm done. Let's see, he's getting the RS once again. Jensen much closer to Overspeed, and he's going to have a go down the inside. It is going to be interesting. Let's see how it goes. Overspeed is still side by side with Jensen. He's going to have to lift off a little bit, because of course he takes a wider approach there. It's not like he can really take, I mean, he can take a tighter line, but the tires might complain quite a bit. That corner really takes a lot out of the tires, so he needs to be smooth on that one. Panda Cruiser is very close to these two. He might actually get involved in the mix. Let's see, we are about to start lap number 28 for these guys. Jensen is starting to weave a little bit, trying to deny just even if it is a slight bit of slipstream. He wants to make it work. Overspeed has the space to have a go around the outside. He actually gets his nose ahead of Jensen. Jensen has a little bit of a moment there, forcing wide. Jensen is going to have a go, gets a much better exit. Overspeed is going to get the RS. Panda Cruiser also got a bit tangled there, couldn't quite put the power down as early as he wanted. Overspeed is going to clear the front wing there. Ooh, that was almost contact there, but great battle there between these two as Overspeed overtakes Jensen into turn number 5. And let's now take a look. Will Jensen be able to re-overtake Overspeed just like he has done in the previous laps, or will Jensen hold himself back a little bit from overtaking to get an overtaking maneuver done into turn 1 on the last lap of this Grand Prix? If that happens, Jensen might as well become prey from Overspeed on the exit of turn 10, just like Jensen is trying to do. Yes, he's obviously trying to holding himself back rather, as Rainbow gets a 3-second time penalty to his name. Let's see how it goes. Blackbird has already started the last lap of the Grand Prix. Let's see how it goes between these two. Tinko, of course, unfortunately, disappointment. Yeah, just retired from the Grand Prix. Let's see how it goes between these two. Rather interesting to see. Jensen already cleared Overspeed. Did he get to the RS though? I am not sure if he did get to the RS or not. Let's see how it goes. Overspeed was forced to take a compromised line through there. He's not going to get the RS. Jensen does not get the RS either. And Panda Cruiser might actually take the position from these guys. Let's see how it goes. Panda Cruiser is going around the outside of Jensen. It might be his moment. He's been holding himself back this entire race, and he finally takes advantage of the fact that none of his rivals got the RS. Let's see how it goes on the rundown. into turn number 4. Overspeed got your eyes on Jason. Jason doesn't have the opportunity to open the flap. There is contact between Jason and Overspeed. The two cars maintain each other on the track though. Jason is going to give a battle there to Panda Cruiser. Cruiser is not going down without a fight. The German tries to hold on to the outside, but Jason is going to maintain himself back on P6. Great battle there between the three. Panda Cruiser forcing Overspeed to the outside of turn 4, but Jensen also realizing that he didn't have DRS again, he blocked Overspeed there. Not really in a way to infringe the rules, right? That's just defensive driving. He had the space, he wasn't too far away enough, and Evil Kiwi gets it in the wall. I'm not sure what happened to Kiwi there, which is rather unfortunate. It looks like it is all decided. We have Blackbird crossing over the line to take home the win of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Bika is going to take home P2, Rocky P3, Specs Gamer P4, Jensen in P5. Panda Cruiser beats Overspeeds there at the end for a P6, unless some penalties are going to get themselves in the way. Let's see what happens. Ooh, went quite wide Overspeed there. Actually not sure if he got damage or not, but there is Overspeed gets 7th. Yeah, there was damage in the front wing of Overspeed. Rainbow finishes in P8. Jonah gets P9 from FSKS as they crossed the line. So look at that one. So FSKS still manages a point, but still on his debut Grand Prix. He gets himself outside of the points. I believe he was the racing point that was involved in that first lap collision. He's going to get P11, and Rowe, of course, was disconnected, so he's going to get himself P12. Really unfortunate there from Evil QE. I have no idea what happened to him, and yeah, I honestly have no idea what happened to him. So it's going to be a DNF for him. There you have it, lads, and a win, a great performance there from Blackbird. Managed to keep his rivals at bay, and just a brilliant performance, especially in the last couple laps, to get himself pulling away from Bika. Of course, Bika might have had a mistake of his own, but nonetheless, great performance from the Mercedes driver. Sorry, not the Mercedes, the Williams driver. But yeah, let's go into the official results in a little bit. So let's see how that one goes, as we have Blackbird taking the win, 2.5 seconds away from Bika. Rocky P3, Specs Gamer P4, Jensen P5, Panda Cruiser P6, Overspeed P7, Rainbow in P8, Jonah claims P9, and FSKS is going to claim the top 10, as we have Frostil, the only driver to finish outside of the top 10. Then we have Rowe, who disconnected, then Evil Kiwi with the DNF on the last lap. It's not understandable what happened to him. He was in a straight line, he just bended into the wall. Not sure what happened to him, but he got P13, Tinko P14, and Franjoko P15. So yeah, guys, this is it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. It's the icon for any notifications of whenever I'm about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful